What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? Let me know if y'all can hear me. I could have swore this thing was recording about 10 minutes ago. So hopefully we are live now and y'all can hear me. Let me know something in the comments if you can hear me. And I'm actually going to type y'all a message to see can y'all hear me. All right, woo woo. All right. So I'm trying a new setup, so y'all forgive me with the sort of impromptu session that I'm doing right now to set this up for y'all. I just got my little lights in, and last time I shot a video with the printer, it was really bad lighting. So I actually ordered these little lights just for y'all. That's how much I love you. And we're gonna see if this thing works today. All right, so y'all see that little baby over there? That little baby is the EcoTank 8550. Now I have never set one of these up before, so we'll be doing that together today. And then we will also be turning this into a sublimation printer with the True Colors ink. And yes, we do have the gray in stock, so it will go up live tonight for you all to purchase. And let me just get a little bit closer here so you all can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to do an overhead, hopefully, where I'm not bumping into these lights. There we go. Trying to get it to where y'all can see right up top of it. And let's see if I turn this one off. Y'all can still see. Perfect. I think that's even better when I turn the other lights off. So we'll see in the course of this process if I need to turn anything off or move anything. Y'all just let me know. I'm working with you. Y'all are working with me. So we're going to get it together. And it seems like my camera is showing me more than what you all are seeing. So, oh, there's a delay. That's what it is. Okay. I think that's better. All right, so without further ado, hopefully we can go ahead and see what all is going on. I'm going to turn my screen on full screen so I can see you all. All right, so the instructions for this one, I briefly looked over. And I am, hopefully, can I turn this around and show you all? Let me move this laptop out of the way. Can roll this around. I'll just pick it up and move it. It's not that heavy. It's a decent, for the size, it is a decent little weight. So I'm going to turn it around just to show you what's in the back and what you plug in. All right, so here we have the power, and I'm going to just pause for a moment, make sure I can show you this. There's such a delay on this camera. So here we have the power, and I already have the power plugged in. And on the opposite side, we have the USB. I'm not going to plug the USB in yet because I want to make sure that everything powers on fine, it charges fine, and then I will connect it to the computer. But once we get ready to do that, that will be the USB area right here. And I should have a USB cable ready to go. Now I'm not plugging it into my computer. I'm just going to go ahead and plug the USB cord into the back of the printer so that when I am ready to make sure the firmware is up to date and all that good stuff, that I don't have to turn this thing around again. All right, so USB's in there. It also has a network cable, so you can do Ethernet. I think we're good here. We're going to go ahead and turn it around now. And this thing is really kind of fragile in certain places, like that drawer up front, so be very careful how you're picking it up and moving it around. I do feel like the size of it is very portable, but the way these trays and stuff feel, it feels a little fragile. Like it would be easy to break if anything just kind of moved across here and hit it. So this is more of a photography printer, meaning that it is going to give you good resolution. It might print a little slower. That's usually why it has more colors. So we're going to see how this does in our Versus series. That hopefully I can get that done tomorrow for you all. So my Versus, I'm going to take all of my my Epson desktops plus this one now. I've been waiting on this one before I did my Versus. And we're going to compare how fast they print, how close the colors are to the screen colors without any adjustments. Of course, we'll be using our little test image up here that you all can find. That's course number 135. And hopefully we find very good results and we'll compare all of the different printers. All right, so power cord is not plugged in quite yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that and put it into the power source. Should be plugged in now. Let's go ahead and reduce this camera angle a little bit because I want you all to see this screen because I believe the screen does pop out. There it goes. That way maybe you'll be able to see some of what pops up on the screen. All right, let's go. Let's get it. Let's turn on the power button first. And then I have to question myself, do I really have power? Oh, there it goes. Just had to give it a little second. It's asking me the language. I'm going to select English. And here's a cool thing. Well, because I'm using my phone to record right now, I can't use it for this feature, but it has a QR code here. It says you can set up the printer by following the instructions on your smart device if I scan the code. So it said no use smart device, so I selected no use smart device. And meanwhile, while that is going, I'm going to go ahead and get my inks prepared. pull it back this way. We are going to need 2 blacks. So this one takes 6 colors. The cool thing about this is it works with the existing True Colors ink. So that is super special, and I've waited to kind of let you all know that so that I can make sure for myself. The only thing that you have to add is the gray. And the photo black can use the regular K that we've been using. So here I have 2 blacks, cyan, yellow, magenta, and boom. There's the new kid on the block. That's the gray. All right, it says see the start here bundled with the printer. I don't know where I put the start here, but I'm pretty sure I've set up enough of these that I'm good. Now it does give you some information here. When filling the ink, make sure not to squeeze the ink bottles. And I'm sure they had to start including that in the directions because many people squeeze thinking they have to. You don't want to squeeze. These are gravity fed. That's why there's actually air in these. People say, oh, well, you know, my bottle has some air in it. Just like there's air in the chips, there's a reason why. When you turn it upside down, it gravity feeds into the special reservoirs for each color, okay? So please don't squeeze them. You don't even want to squeeze them, taking them out, anything like that. You are gently going to insert them and remove them, and gravity is going to do the hard work for you. And this is also, make sure to match the color of the ink bottle and the ink tank. This is also very important because now you have 6 colors, right? So we want to make sure that we get it right. We're going to go ahead and go to proceed. And it says, make sure to fill the BK ink tank with BK ink, right? So let's do this. Let's go ahead and move these out of the way because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to open this whole top because there is a little handy dandy scanner here. So it's telling me to start with BK. BK is just K, it's just black. PK is photo black, but for this particular system, for sublimation ink, you don't need a photo black. You can use your regular black. Okay, so let's go to proceed. It's basically just giving you some information on which ones to do. So we're going to do the first one, which is just the black. All right, and of course we have to lift that up in order to get to them. So the black is here. We would flip up the blue cover here. And let's grab our black. Now typically with these you're going to remove the seal. And I don't have any gloves on, so hopefully I don't mess myself up here. And if I do, it'll be a lesson for you. But typically when you open these up, you're going to have a seal. So there is a metal, kind of, well, I guess that would be like an aluminum seal here. So I'm going to remove it carefully. And another thing, there is another seal, and it's usually found inside of the cap. You see that seal there? That's like a paper or foam seal. Go ahead and remove that as well. And I'm going to grab me a trash can so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Right, and if you want to remove that, sometimes what I'll do is I will take something just to pry it out with, and I'm even just taking a pencil here. Oh, I don't know if I'm in the camera anymore. I'm taking a pencil there and just get it out of the way. Okay, you can actually discard that. And then you're going to place your top back on. Got a little bit of ink on my fingertip, but nothing I'm not used to. All right, now you can, it does not tell you you have to do this, but I do agitate my inks before I install them just to make sure I have a good mix. Sublimation ink, although it's a sublimation dye process, this is a pigment ink. That's why it's so dark. A dye ink will be pretty translucent. You can see through it. So you want to make sure that it's, you know, well mixed without shaking it up. Okay, so I'm swirling it. If you have the big cartridges for the big printer, they suggest that you actually take the ink and move it front to back, or you could take the cartridge side to side. You don't want to shake it per se. You just want to make sure that those elements get moved around in there. All right, so let's see. We're going to just take the bottle, and this is our black. So BK stands for black. PB stands for photo black, but we're still going to use black there. And I'm just going to dump it upside down here. And you'll hear it going gunk, 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 gunk. Gravity is going to do the job for us, and it will stop it when it's full. So you're going to have more than enough ink to do the first fill. Now these inks, I think I've already opened and filled up some cartridges, or did a demo for you all filling up cartridges. So hopefully these are already open. I'm going to check and see while that's going on. This one may not be open. So actually, I think it is. This one's already open. So we have a black that's already open here. And we're full. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it carefully. And we definitely still have ink in there. You can't see it. The bottle's a little opaque right now, but I'm about here with that remaining ink. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and use this one to fill up the PB. And then I may require a little bit more of this other black, just because this one may not get it completely to the top. And that's okay. I don't know if y'all can hear that. But you'll know it's full when it stops doing the glunk, 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 glunk. I don't know if you appreciate my sound effects or not, but. Oh, that is perfection. Y'all, perfection. This one bottle filled up both of these tanks exactly full. That was not planned, but I'm happy for that. Okay, so my other tank is full now. I can go ahead and close this one. I'm going to do each color. I'm not going to lift up more than one color at a time because I do not want to confuse myself. Now I'm going to start with the cyan. And again, I'm just going to swirl my ink around a little bit just to make sure that everything's good and mixed up in there. And this one is already open. So cyan, here we go. And I suppose if you were to do the sections that are not right next to one another, I probably could fill up my gray and my cyan at the same time, because I could probably fit my bottle there. But for the sake of showing you how I would set this up, I'm not going to do that. And while I was watching that, it's like so satisfying to watch it and listen to it. I should have been checking on my yellow to see if it was ready. Yep, my yellow's ready and already open. So cyan is filled completely. And that I have a little bit left in here. I'm going to go ahead and close it now and go with my yellow next. Do a little swirl. Open my yellow. Take off my cap. And this time the cap came off with the nozzle, so I'm just going to make sure I unscrew it there. And place this back on the bottom. All right, let's do it. And I did not take these inks out to take a look at them to see if they are pigment or dye ink. But I believe this system is pigment ink. I will double check that. I don't want to lie to y'all, so I'm saying what I believe. But the ink is actually still in this box. And as you can see, probably not getting to that anytime soon. Okay, so I'm going to remove the bottle without making a mess. Put my top back on. And next we have Magenta. I think this one's already been opened too, because I can see the color right here to the top, meaning that it has had some use prior to this. And last but certainly not least, this is the anticipated gray. You'll see it has a GY on here. It's kind of hard to tell the difference from the actual image here, so don't look for the image. Look for the words. You can clearly see this is gray and that's black. So let's make sure. I don't believe I have opened this one yet. So while that's pumping, I will remove the seal here. And I'm just removing it with my bare nails, but you may need to use an X-Acto knife or something to open it up there. I thought I was removing it with my bare nails, but maybe it has other plans for me. Sometimes the seal is just real good, almost too good. And I'm just using a pencil right now just to kind of open that up. Hopefully I don't get my lead broken off in there, because usually I use an X-Acto knife here. Alright, so like I said, there is also this seal here that we need to remove, because if you turn it upside down, nothing, absolutely nothing is going to come out of there. So let's pick that on up out of the way. And place our top. And before we do anything else, let's go ahead and put the top back on the magenta. There is a little bit of ink still left here. And I'm just being careful because I don't want this to splatter ink. It's not that I feel like it's going to mess up anything here, but when I pick this up, if you're working over a carpeted area or anything like that, those little droplets, when you splash things or do things too rough, can stain your stuff. So there is a trick that I've learned. You can use the cleaning solution. I got some ink in my carpet one time. I used the cleaning solution and it got that ink right about my carpet. So here is the most anticipated moment of the evening. Let's go ahead and fill our gray, and I'm going to separate the cap from the nozzle. And I can't tell you how like spoiled this has me as far as not filling up cartridges. All right, so let's go ahead. Place it right there on the nozzle, let it go. That's our gray. Let me check on y'all to see if y'all need anything or have any comments. Yes, I have been working tirelessly for my babies. Now, why this thing is moving around right now, I don't know. I didn't tell it to do anything. Maybe it assumes that, you know, I'm on my gray right now, so it's my last one. Let me see if this says anything. It's still telling me to make sure I fill the PP ink. So I'm going to proceed. I'm going to wait until I get to the gray to proceed after the gray. But that's all, folks. Let's see. Let's go ahead and hit proceed here. Proceed magenta, proceed with gray. And it says press OK for 5 seconds. So it wants to make sure that I have filled all of these up, and I'm acknowledging that. So I'm going to hold down OK for 5 seconds. It's probably going to tell me to close this unit. Make sure that all the color inks are filled up to the upper line on the ink tank. Now there is an upper line and it has an arrow here. And I can testify that all of my inks are up to the upper line. And then it says select the start button to start the ink charging. The ink charging means that it's going to pull the ink into the system. So let's go ahead, and it says do not load paper until initialization is complete. So that's very important. Don't put any paper in here until it's completely done with initialization. It may tell me to close this unit, and if it doesn't, I will be very surprised, because usually it doesn't allow the printhead to move around with the top open. But let's see. And this top stays open. I know some of you might be used to some of the older units where you used to have to kind of hold the top open. This one stays open, just like the last couple of versions. So that's good. I thought with it having this little thin top, it wouldn't stay open, but it's doing well. And Zena, as far as I read the instructions, yes, the machine needs to be on before you put the ink in this one. However, I think the 15,000, the EcoTank 15,000 was the opposite, because I always assume you turn the printer on before you load ink. And that one kind of threw me through a loop, because I believe that it did instruct you to fill the ink up for the EcoTank 15,000 before you turned it on. And I made that mistake live with you all. But I was able to remedy it. It was nothing more than just going and making sure that once I hooked the computer up to it, it understood that it already had the ink inside. If y'all have any questions, feel free to let me know what those questions are as I'm going along, and I should be able to help you answer those. Now this initialization period is saying it can take about 7 minutes. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and cut off some fabric. So hopefully we can do our little test here and compare it when it comes to the colors and also the photograph. So we did a class on this. It was class number 135, I believe. And it's a free class, so I want y'all to get involved in that one. But it was explaining how colors work when it comes to sublimation and Photoshop and the images that you're working with. So for instance, if this yellow for me was, for some printers, ends up being a little bit of an orangish yellow, then there are certain settings. And what I did was I recorded the best settings. And I also showed you all how to do your own test. So we did this test together, and we tested 4 different settings depending on what printer you had, and we did a Photoshop version of this. So for this one, if I wanted to get the yellows to be brighter, then I would manipulate the yellow adjustment levels just to kind of pull a little more of that orange out of it and give it a little more of a green tint, and I would get a more lemony yellow. So just things like that. For the skin tones, we did some adjustments there, and the skin tones ended up looking much better with some adjustments. But just out the box, the True Colors ink are going to give you very, very, very good results. The issues that it has, and that's with any sublimation ink and any Epson printer, it's going to have issues giving you really bright greens and giving you this kind of this is supposed to be a pure cyan, but it ends up looking like a Tiffany blue or a what do you call it, a robin's egg blue, that sort of color. So you have to be very careful when using that type of color or thinking that you're going to achieve that color. And we talk about all of that in the class number 135. Super important to understand why you have limitations in your color gamut, and in Photoshop, why you have that little caution symbol with the exclamation point when you pick a certain color. If you choose a color that Photoshop knows your printer cannot commit to, it will tell you with that little symbol that, hey, you're getting way too close to a color that you're probably never going to achieve. And if you click on that symbol, it will take you close to a color that it does believe your printer can achieve, that it is within the color gamut. So I want you all to, check that class out. It is free. I did it specifically because I know the pains of sublimation, especially when it comes to color management. So I've done everything that I can to make sure that the True Colors setup is very, very direct. You set it up one time for your printer, and then those are the settings that you use forever. You don't have to worry about an ICC profile or anything of that nature. But there are some slight adjustments that can be made whenever you're trying to achieve one particular color. All right, so that class went over that process. So it looks like we have about another minute. I'm going to grab some fabric, and then I'll come back for any questions. Okay, loves? I'll be back. All right, what does it say? Initialization is complete. Some ink is absorbed into the maintenance box. You may see some black parts on it, but it is normal. Proceed to print adjustment. So we'll go to adjustment. Maybe I need to close this thing. I'm going to flip that up. Let's proceed to adjustment. I'm going to choose to adjust it later. I do suggest you to adjust it though. Printer adjustment is when they're basically going to make sure that the print heads line up. We're going to go ahead and do a nozzle check. You can always do that from the maintenance queue if you want to do another, or if you want to do the alignment setup. But I believe it requires 6 pages of paper and some time, and I want to go ahead and get this thing going. So I will show you where the maintenance menu is, and we're going to do a Printhead nozzle check. This is to load the A4 size paper to nozzle check pattern. So let's go ahead and move these out of the way. And then one of these is completely empty, but I'll keep it up here just so that you know you should probably go ahead and get you with the kit. You'll have the 4 CMYK, and then you'll have an extra black, and then you'll also have the gray. So I will make sure that that is available tonight. All right, so we have to load the paper. I am assuming that we're going to load it from here. Like I said, this paper tray feels extremely flimsy to me. I don't like it. I'm going to grab some regular, schmegular, degular letter size paper. All right, like so. And then I'm just going to stick that in. I think I'm going to leave this open, I believe. Let's see, because I think this tray is supposed to automatically pop out. There it goes. And I'm trying to see if it goes out further for the 13 by 19. It feels like it does. Oh, there it goes. It does pop out a little bit further for the 13 by 19, but like I said, it feels incredibly like just fragile. Be careful with this, y'all. I could see somebody like walking by real quick or turn around if you got a little badonk and you just happen to boop into that, it might be a little issue. Okay, so I do see that we have some missing lines here. Not sure if y'all can see that. Just a few. So we're going to go ahead and do a printhead cleaning. And then I'm actually going to install the same paper back in. Because basically what I do is print on the bottom half of this, flip it over, I'll print on the back, and then the other side. If I need to just do a few nozzle checks, I don't like to waste a bunch of paper. Now since this takes about 3 minutes, so we're going to let that roll. I am going to cut my little fabric piece and get my sublimation paper ready, because we're going to feed the sublimation to the rear slot, so that I don't know if it'll accept it from any other area. I think it has an area in the back that it will accept it, but you have to remove a whole bunch of stuff. So we're just going to see how this rear paper slot feed works. So give it just a moment. And like I said, we have not even hooked this up to the computer yet. So there's probably still some firmware updates, and of course installing the drivers on the computer. And what I'll do for that, hopefully I can switch to sharing my computer screen there, and then I can show you that process. All right, so we'll let that finish the printhead cleaning there. Alrighty, so I have my paper cut out. Let's see how the nozzle. Oh, I just went ahead and did another nozzle check. It looks better. I still see a tad bit of lines missing there. So I'm going to do one more. Let me tell you something. Don't do more than two without waiting some time. And when I say waiting some time, I mean at least an hour. I would even give it like 3 or 4 hours, because these things are very sensitive to printhead cleanings back to back, and it's not worth it. So let me do one more printhead cleaning. And while it's doing that, let me go ahead and tell you that the ink went down to, from the very, very top line, it went down to the next line down. So that's how much ink it took in order to fill the lines in the system. So if you think about it, the ink that you have left over, you can top it off. I would probably wait till it got down to the next line. So if you can be disciplined and never let your EcoTank inks go below the halfway mark, just like with gas, you know, you have some people that's going to push it to the limit and some people that never want to run out. So if you can be one of those people that never want to run out, that's your best bet. If you run this system dry, you don't want those problems. Please listen to me. You don't want those problems. It introduces air into your system, air into your lines. It will help to dry out your print heads quicker. It will give you issues with banding, which is those lines that appear every time, especially those horizontal lines that appear whenever you're printing. Or it will result in color not coming through at all for a particular color. So please believe me when I say it's very important not to let the ink run low in this system. There's a beauty to the EcoTank setup, which is that you don't have to refill cartridges. However, that is coupled with a responsibility to keep these things filled up. And I see that it has like a little light down here that kind of shows you what's going on. That's interesting. I haven't seen that before. So what I'm going to do is take a little data of how long it takes to print my little 135 image there. And that way I can add it to our data and I can really get some good information for you all for this versus video. All right, so that's better, but I'm not going to force this thing again with another print head cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and see what it looks like when I try to print my solid colors, because I don't believe in doing more than 2 print heads in a given setting or hour. So let me just go on back. Although it did not print properly, I'm going to lie and say that it did so I can get out of this and then just go back home. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and connect the USB now to the computer. Now, once we do that, well, I'm not going to connect the USB to the computer until I make sure the driver software is on. So let me show you how we do that. Let's see if I can do a screen share here. All right, and then what we're going to check on for this is to make certain that, first, that you can see my screen. That would be nice, right? There we go. And we're just going to type in Epson ET-8550 driver. And you don't want to go to anything that is not the official Epson. Oh, I didn't put in that extra 5 there. All right, so here's the support for the EcoTank. And this is the safe one to download, the drivers and utilities combo package. So we'll go ahead and download that and let it finish downloading. Once it's finished downloading, let's go ahead and click on the application. And it gives us a warning that the file contains an installer, and we'll say OK to continue. And I'm actually installing this on 2 computers right now, one for demonstration and one for the one that's connected to the printer. So let's go ahead and accept these terms, because if you don't, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I am not going to select these other 2 because I don't like extra stuff on my system. And would you like to install the research participation software? No, thank you. And y'all let me know, can you hear me going through these directions? Because I'm not sure if the audio works when the camera's not on. So just let me know if it doesn't. Okay, that's odd. I don't know how I can hear because it says it's not live, but I'm going to trust y'all that y'all can hear me. So Marquetta, to answer your question, I was not going to recommend this printer until I could make sure that I could get the gray ink, especially in a timely manner, because I know that sometimes these printers get bought up really quickly. So we're going to test it out today just to see how it performs as far as how quick it can print, how well the colors are represented on the screen, and the end product using no ICC profile like we typically do, and testing out the basic settings that we typically do for True Colors ink. So we're going to test that out tonight as long as our camera will work out with us. All right, so it says turn on the printer, and it is turned on. Charging the ink. Okay, so this is where that comes in if you've already set it up or not. For the first time setup, you'll need to fill the ink tanks and start the ink charging process as described on the Start Here poster. If you fill the ink tanks but did not charge the ink yet, Press and hold OK for 5 seconds. Next, select Proceed for each color, and then start charging the ink. Ink charging takes about 9 minutes. We've already done that process, okay? So we're going to check this box because that is complete. Now it's searching for my printer. It's not going to find it because it's not plugged in right now. So let me go ahead and grab the USB cord. And I'm going to print from this computer just so I can show you all the entire process, but I typically do not print from this particular computer. I print from one computer so that I can make sure that my screen, my colors and all that stuff is just very standard. I don't like to mix it up. Every computer that you print from is going to have a very different way that it communicates with the printer as far as your monitor. So I'm going to plug the USB in now. And I'm going to tell it that I'm doing a direct USB connection. I wouldn't do wireless. I don't preach wireless anyway. We're doing usually some pretty big files. I don't like sending big files wirelessly. I like to send them through the USB connection or Ethernet. I'm going to go back just a moment, see if it's recognizing it now because it said it did. This particular setup did not say that it recognized it, but I did receive a little pop-up at the bottom that said it was installed. I don't necessarily trust that because sometimes your printers will have a generic driver that's going to automatically install and be able to use it as a basic printer no matter what. And then the actual full driver, which gives you all of the extra options as far as the paper sources, mirror imaging, all those other details. So I want to make sure that this can detect that. So let me go back. No, I don't want to cancel. Oh, it says don't connect the cable until prompted, so maybe that's my fault. Let me disconnect it, then hit next, and maybe next time I'll read. Now it says plug a USB cable into your computer and Epson printer. So let me do it at this very moment. And it does say to make sure your equipment is turned on. And I did. Plug in the USB as it suggested. Oh, I think the issue is my plug is not seated well in the back of the printer. Let me see. No, it's in there good. All right, so since it's saying it was ready to go, I guess that's it. Let's check and see. I'm going to check the printers and scanners in the system settings. So I just type in print in my search. And this one is the EcoTank 8550. It says it is offline only because I unplugged it. So let me plug it back in and see if it says it's online now. It says that the driver is unavailable. So when I pull up the printer properties, instead of me getting the true printer properties, I'm getting this kind of thing that I told you that just automatically shows up. The preferences, I'm sorry. This automatically is going to show up for any printer that you install that your computer recognizes as a printer. However, this setup is not working. So let me do this. I'm going to go to my devices. Go to my USB devices. And I see that 8550 there. I'm going to unplug this, uninstall that device. And I don't see it again. Now when I plug it back in, let's see if it recognizes it again. I'm going to try to update the driver automatically. Oh Lord. I do not want to deal with any Windows updates just to get a printer to work. Did I do 58 instead of 85? Because that would be a big difference. Lord have mercy. Y'all, I did the wrong EcoTank. That's what it is. All right, so let me search for the right number here. It should be 8550. That's what it is. And I didn't even look at the picture. Normally I look at the photos. So let's go to support. Let's download the proper driver. That might make some sense. So I really do want to remove that other driver. Okay, so we're on support. Now let's download that driver. Let's see if this makes a difference. And it just started raining too. So hopefully we don't have any power outages or anything. That might make a little more sense. And let me go ahead and undo the USB here just so I can make sure that it installs it properly, because I don't want it connected at first. So let's accept the license here. Nope, I don't want you to collect anything at all, and I don't want to do registration right now. Make sure the printer's turned on. Have you finished filling all the tanks? I finished filling all the ink tanks. Let's go next. And Dana, let me tell you why you may not want to do a wireless install. I'm not saying that you can't set it up that way, but I have personally experienced plenty of issues with wireless installs, especially when you're doing larger Photoshop files. A lot of times it just won't send the information properly, and you'll get it to where it'll either halfway send it and then quit on you, or sometimes it'll even halfway print and quit on you. And it's just because the data that is translating over that wireless connection can be very intensive sometimes. Another issue that I've noticed with wireless setups is that it doesn't always give you an immediate print. But if you have it directly connected via USB, it almost instantly starts to spool and print. So those are just issues that I've experienced doing the wireless setup. Not saying that I don't have some of mine set up wirelessly, but like in an issue where right now it's like raining outside and possibly going to storm, if I do the USB, I don't have to really worry about that issue, but the wireless can get a little strained and it can cut off in the middle of your prints. And if you're just like, if you're one of those people that like to walk away from your printer and just let it do its thing, the wireless can sometimes be very, it can let you down. Let me just put it that way. So I'm going to connect via USB cable next, and now it's telling me to connect it. So let's try that out. All right. So you can also use a scanner on here. It's a very like thin scanner. It doesn't have that big old scanner top like the 7820s and the 7720. So I believe that that might be a good solution if you did have to scan something with a small footprint of a printer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let it do the scanner driver just because I do end up using that. Now, do I want Photo Plus? Probably not. No, I probably don't want that. Support utilities. I actually don't think I want this. I think those are usually extra issues that are caused by Epson. And then the Epson Connect software. Register. I'm going to go ahead and say no. It's a no for me. I don't need the OCR or the PDF extension. But you may want to keep that on, depending on if you already have Adobe, the document reader. What is it? Adobe Acrobat. Yeah. So if you already have Adobe Acrobat, you don't need this, but I'll leave it on. I'm going to turn off the manuals because I feel like I looked those manuals up online, and I almost wanted to turn that off just so I don't have anything extra on here. All right, it says we can print a test page now. So let's see. I just have regular paper in there right now, regular letter size paper. And while that's going on, I'm going to go to Innate Academy 135. Oh, it says the paper is out in the rear paper feeder, and it asks us to go hit next. And I'm going to wait till I can turn my camera back on for that. But it's giving me this issue right here, that the paper's not loaded correctly, and to load paper in the back. So now that I think we're done completely with this, I'm going to go ahead while I have it on screen share and show you what I would suggest the setup be for printing, and then we're going to test it out. Now what it's doing at this moment is checking for firmware. So while it is checking for firmware, I am going to do my print test. I will tell them to keep my layers. All right, so it did print out that little congratulations, you finished setting up your printer. So I'm good with that. Now what I'm going to do is tell you what the basic settings are for pretty much any printer that we are using that is an Epson where we're using the True Colors ink. So I'm going to go to File. As a matter of fact, instead of going to File, Print, let me do it from the printer, and I'm going to show you how we do that. So it requires an update. So let's let it go ahead and update the firmware before I start changing the default settings on the printer. Now the reason why you want to set the default settings on the printer is because if this is going to be a sublimation printer, which once it is a sublimation printer, you're not going to be switching it to your standard pigment inks anytime soon, okay? So let's just consider that this is a sublimation printer. There are certain settings that we're going to make our default inherent settings so that we never have to check those again. One of the main things we want to check off is that it mirror images everything. You don't want to have to check every single time you print something to make sure it's mirror image, because that eats up a lot of time and that causes a little extra anxiety where it's not even necessary. If you set it up as the default settings, it's going to always be there for you. The second thing is I set my paper size to be a standard size. So if I know I primarily print 13 by 19 sheets and that's it, then I'm going to set my paper to 13 by 19 so I never have to check that when I go to print from any program. So the great thing about setting up the default settings for your printer is that you can kind of lock and load whatever your standard settings are, and then if you need to play with something, you can adjust those settings in your program per project that you're doing. So it will be project specific. If you really need to try to manipulate color so that it looks more of a lime green, because it's very difficult to get lime green with sublimation, but I have done it just by making a color more yellow and bringing it into those greens. I've been able to achieve something that looks more like a lime green by tricking the well, it's not really tricking, it's just manipulating. That's what you're doing. I hate to use that word, but that is exactly what you're doing with the colors. You're manipulating the screen color to adjust to something that will be very close to what you want to see printed. And every now and then you'll have to do that. For the most part, you will not have to do that, especially with True Colors ink. But there will be some instances where you want a particular kind of cyan or a particular lime green that you will have to do some minor adjustments to. So we're going to let this, it's going to restart the printer here. So we're going to allow it to finish that up. We're not going to turn anything off. We're not going to unplug anything. We're not going to mess with anything right now. Now let me check on y'all to see if we have any questions in the meantime. And it looks like it is restarting the printer on its own. All right, and I can hit finish on screen now. looks like I'm done. All right, so this is what I was going to show you all. Let me make sure everything's closed here. I can definitely cancel out of that printer that I don't have. And I'm going to go to my printer settings, printers and scanners for my system settings. And let's go to the 8550. It looks like it set it as default too. And that's fine. Usually your computer, if it has trouble, it will set the printer to default so that it can troubleshoot it. But looks like this is default right now. That's perfectly fine. Let's go to manage this printer. And then we'll go to the print preferences. And unlike before where it just had that basic setup, now we see the full setup for this. So we are going to create a profile here. So I'm going to say the document size is going to be Super B off rip. The source, I'm going to tell it is the rear paper. I guess that's going to be the feeder. I think there's a slot back there too, but I'm going to do the rear paper feeder, and then we'll see if that is the appropriate place where the paper comes from. We're not going to choose borderless, plain paper. I'm going to keep it on plain paper. I'll leave color here. And for the quality, I'm going to put it on best quality. So what I like to do is tell it that it's plain paper and get it to print on its highest quality. And that sometimes will save from having just way too much ink on the paper. All right, so it looks like I've done this. Make sure you don't have print preview on there. It adds conflict when it comes to Photoshop, choosing the colors. Now, let's see here. I don't want to do any reducing or enlarging. I do want to choose a custom color correction option. So when I go to advanced, I'm going to say no color adjustment. I don't want the printer to try to adjust my colors at all. I want Photoshop to do that. So I'm going to go to no color adjustment. I'm going to make sure that mirror image is selected on. Bidirectional printing, I'm going to leave on. Usually I think if you turn that off, it prints a little slower. So we're going to leave it on for right now, see if it does its thing. And that looks to be everything that I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add a preset here. I'm going to name this 13x19, so 13 by 19. And then I put in true, Innate, so that I know it's true colors and I got it from Innate Lab. All right, and then I'm going to put sub to make sure I understand that it's Sublimation ink. All right, now when I hit save, it's going to save that option here. And I would make an alternate option for this if I were doing different size paper, or let's say for a particular substrate, I don't want to choose plain paper. I really want to choose premium presentation because it lays down the ink a certain way. Every now and then I do premium presentation if I just absolutely need to. But let me tell you something, when you do it on that mode and you're printing back to back, you use up a lot of ink, and then you potentially end up messing up your print heads, at least like temporarily, because it lays down so much ink that it does cause issues. So I like to use the plain paper setting like I showed you, and then just make the quality the highest it can be. Your color accuracy is usually so much more on point when you use premium presentation. But the trade-off is that you usually end up jacking up the remainder prints if you use it too much. So my thing is, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of that color accuracy to maintain that I'll be able to print back to back to back for several prints, okay? And for several days on end. Like, I don't like the issues that I end up with when I do premium presentation paper. So I do plain paper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I already hit save. Oops, I don't need to overwrite it. I can close this now. Now, if I hit this setting right here, this will forever be my default setting unless I change it. So now once I hit OK, if I go into Photoshop and I want to print to that printer, it should show me those exact settings that I just showed you. So let's go File, Print. And let's see if it's going to get confused because we have that 8550 as a default printer now. So let's see what happens. And I felt like that was going to happen with Photoshop. So let me see. Let me try that again. I may even have to restart my computer with the newly installed. So we'll see if that's what I have to do. It does say the PC needs to be restarted to finish setting up the device. So that's on my other computer. So I'm going to go ahead and restart this one. Because I believe that it's not going to work right until I do a restart. So I'm restarting my other computer, and I'm going to do save as. Just put this on the desktop just in case I lose internet connection while it's raining. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to see before I restart if I do file print again, if it shuts down, and it does. So I'm going to set my 16650 to default. And restart the computer here. Well, I can't restart this computer because then it's going to close out my session with you all. So let me see if I can print from the other computer, and if it works, then I'll just turn on the camera and let y'all see it work. All right, I'm trying to access my Google Drive since I just restarted. It's taking a little second. Here we go. And let's see. Yep. So I won't be able to do it on this computer, unfortunately. So let me turn my camera back on, so hopefully we can do it on this other one. Awesome, Jessica. Jessica says, my laptop screen broke, but God is good. I got a brand new high RAM computer, and now my Photoshop moves at super speed. That's what's up. Can't wait to get to designing. And she says she wanted to make sure that she told me, thank you so much for the templates. The Academy has been a game changer for my business. Blessings, sis. Man, you are welcome. Like that is exactly what I want to hear. That lights up my day. I promise my cheeks are pretty much touching my eyelids right now. That's exactly what I want you all to be able to say and feel. That's it. That pretty much speaks life into everything that I do. I promise y'all. This is a passion. This is not a job. So most of what we do, especially in this area, in this field, are passions, not just something that we feel like we just have to do. But we do feel like we have to do it. If you don't get that creativity out your system, you feel like something's missing. So I'm glad I could be a part of that. Y'all, I'm trying to bring up my stuff on my other screen over here, so bear with me just a moment. Let me see if it's pulling up on my big screen. All right, let's see. All right, so what I'm going to do, I am setting up my other computer, and I don't want to activate the camera before I need to because I think it was on its last little leg. So let me see if I can, those same settings I just showed you, I'm going to set up on my other computer, the exact same settings. So I'm talking it out loud so that y'all don't just leave me. I'm going to go to the printers and scanners. Now this one I did restart. Now it says that Epson 8550 setup incomplete, restart your PC. And I just restarted my PC. So let's see. I'm going to restart it again, see what happens. I think another printer that had this issue with a lot of people was the 16650. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but there was something about it where it would not immediately just start printing from Photoshop. It would crash. And I want to say it was a very similar issue. Like once you updated the firmware, it did something goofy. It wouldn't allow you to use it. And then with the restarts, I think I even had to remove the printer and reinstall it. So I'm going to restart this printer again. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you what I was talking about for this 135 class, that we did just the regular print. And then I have some, I'm pretty sure it's very hard to even see the differences here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. But I included some yellow level adjustments because whenever you don't print on the premium presentation matte mode, it does kind of, it more quickly puts together the ink formulation, and sometimes that gives you a little less accuracy. And I'm sure you can imagine if you did something quicker, it probably would not be as accurate. So it does print faster, it lays down less ink. But in this range right here with the yellows and then the lime greens and this particular cyan right now, I think I even showed you all, if we even try to go to this cyan, so if I pick that color picker, grab that color and we go to it, see how it has an exclamation point? It is letting me know that this color is not within my printer's color gamut. So if I click that, it's going to give me, look what it turns into. And this is literally what it prints like. So if you want to trick the printer, then you kind of have to choose a color. See how that exclamation point is coming up again? So you kind of have to pick a color that doesn't give you the exclamation point, that is very close to that, because what Photoshop guesses for you is usually pretty off. See how off that is? So you can kind of guess a little bit. I think that's about as close as I'm going to get, right about, where was I? Right about there without seeing the exclamation point. And it's not going to be perfect. So sometimes I have to trick it. Like I have to add more green and amp up some of the different color levels in order to get that color. But it's strictly trial and error, because it's already telling you it's not going to give you that color. What you see on your screen is not going to be what you get. So you have to manipulate a color that you don't want in order to try to get something that you do want. And that's for this color right here. It will do this color just fine. This color right here, this color right here, and this color right here. And it's because you're talking about RGB. The RGB that you see on your screen is emitted by light. So the colors that you see are made by light, and light can make absolutely anything, any brightness of color. You'll even see things on your screen that look neon color almost, and you just know that you're not going to produce those results when it comes to printing. So if you ever want to test a color, I'll test that color right there. I'm going to open it up and see if it has that exclamation point if you click it. So if some of you want that kind of ooze lime green and you think you're going to get it, and boom, you're going to get that. It is pretty much telling you what you're going to get. So if you want to do some manipulation, sometimes I'll bring it into yellow, try to choose, like this is me if I'm trying to get like a neonish green, and I'll try to select it there. That's as close as I'm going to get. Then I can bring it a little closer to green. See how it starts to give me that warning? You just have to manipulate it accordingly. So I'm just letting you know, when it comes to these bright colors here, it's not anybody's ink's fault that it can't achieve those colors. It is literally the printer has a limited color gamut. All right. All right. So I'm going to check on this other computer here. Let me see what y'all are talking about. Woo-hoo. All right, Deshanta, you finished your first class tonight. Congratulations. And the leap of faith is for you. I'm telling you, these are just tools, y'all. I am just a person who presents these tools to y'all. Y'all are the ones actually really making this work. There you go. Jessica says all 40 of your creative juices running crazy. Let's get it. All right, so I'm going to try this other computer, see if this printer is doing what it's supposed to be doing right now. Because I have my e-press on. I want to see what these colors look like tonight. So I'm being a little impatient. I should have done this, recorded and not drawn it out. But I know y'all like to do this with me. So we can chat it up and I can answer questions and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go to the printer and scanner right now, see if this one is saying that the driver is installed properly now. And it did change it to my default when I restarted the computer. So I am going to make my 16650 the default, just so hopefully I don't have that crashing issue. And then let's see what happens when I go to print. Alright, so I'm going to my printers and scanners. I'm going to go to my EcoTank 8550. Like, Photoshop is such a hog, like a screen hog, a resources hog. Anytime you try to do anything in Photoshop is trying to open up, it will get on top of anything that you're working on. Alright, so on my EcoTank 8550, I'm going to manage. I'm going to printing preferences, and I'm going to do this faster because we already did it together on screen. Paper source, I'm going to choose the rear paper feeder. I'm going to choose a document size as Super B. I'm going to choose plain paper as my paper type, and quality, I'm going to put it on best quality. Then for more options, I'm going to turn on the custom color correction. I'm going to advanced, and I'm going to put no color adjustment. Then I'm going to make sure that mirror image is checked off. I'm going to go to add and remove the presets, and I'm going to save this as 13x19 true TRU innate sublimation. All right, I'll hit save, close, and those will forever be my default settings as long as I select it before I close out and hit OK. Okay, so now let me see if I can print from this one. And just in case, where is my timer? Because I'm going to time it for you all. If it works out. Let's see, let's see. All right, so I'm going to my print settings. It does have everything saved to default. So when you save your print settings or your print preferences from the printer setup, then those are going to be your default settings. So I don't have to check this. I normally do check it, but I don't have to check it every time. The only thing that I have to do for this particular document is turn it to landscape because it's a wide setup for the color handling. And let me see, I don't know why. This thing may not do it now that I have selected. Because I want to show y'all this. And I can't show you from my other computer because it's not connected to the stream right now. So for this one, it says it's offline. I'm going to manage. So these are the settings that I told you that we have set up. That's what I'm printing as. But when I go to print from Photoshop, don't do it again, sir. I think it's going to do it again just because I see that little, yep, it did it. No respect. No respect at all. So I'm just telling you what I'm working on right now. It's the one setting that you need to change. And let me see if I can change my printer. I'm not understanding why it's doing this right now. I think I really do need to restart the computer like the printer dialog suggested. So I'm just going to leave that alone. And I'm going to tell you what I'm doing over on this computer because you won't be able to see it. So instead of the printer managing the colors, I'm choosing Photoshop manages the colors. And it has some printer profiles here, like some really fancy ones. This says Epson EcoTank 8550 Series Velvet Fine Art. I don't know if that is going to be my color profile. I just usually choose a regular old Epson inkjet printer 07. So I'm going to go with that one just to see what happens. That's my go-to printer profile. And I'll let you know if it requires some adjustments, and I will do those adjustments on my own time and then report back to you all with the best settings. All right, so let's see if this baby goes. All Alright, so I need to load up the paper. Oh, I'm supposed to turn the camera back on for you all. Hold on. Let me hit cancel so I can turn the camera on and we do this in real time. Alright, so let me see how I can turn this camera back on. Let's refresh. All right, and let me know before I move on, I want to make sure you can see me. Okay. So let me know in the comments if you see my printer now instead of the screen. Hey, Shakia. I see you staying up late with us. What you got going on? All right. So let's see here. Now, since the paper's out or incorrect loading, I'm going to hit cancel because I want to get the full time of what it takes once I tell the printer to print. And let me see if I can maybe even squeeze my laptop in the view while I'm trying to be fancy. I hope I'm not unplugging anything. Okay. I try to put everything on wheels. It's all on wheels. And oh, duh! You won't be able to, I won't be able to see it for a second because it's got that lag. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one. It did cancel. I'm going to place my paper in. Now, the paper, since it should be going straight through, in this particular paper, I have a bright white side and a little bit duller yellow side. So that's going to be back. And then this is going to be face up. And I'm going to move. There's some sliders in here. You got to make sure you spread them out to the widest position in order to get that 13 by 19 paper in there. And just to show you how this extends. Okay, so that's how it looks initially. Then I'm going to open it up, pull that out, pull that, and then let it lean back. All right, there we go. 13 by 19 is in there. I'm just going to do a single page right now. I don't know how it's going to react to having more than one, sheet back there, but we'll figure it out. So the paper size, I'm going to go ahead and set this here for the rear slot. Paper size is going to be Super B. Let's see if we see that. Super B's right there. It's A3 plus. Plain paper is what I'm going to save. And can I save that? Change to the previous settings. No, I don't want to change to the previous settings. I want this to save as one of my favorite settings. So this should be good. At least it knows what's in there. Let me close that. Oops. Let's go to my settings. Oh, it has some pretty cool settings here about the paper thickness and all that good stuff. Hopefully we don't have to use that. The paper that I use is not that thick, so I don't usually have issues with, with it pulling paper or jamming and that sort of thing. All right, let me worry about these settings later. What I want to make sure of is that I can print right now. So I think y'all see me. Yeah, I'm ready to see what actually prints. All right, so I'm gonna put my timer up here so y'all know I'm for real. And I have to use, y'all still can't see my computer screen. I brought the thing over here like y'all can see something. I just wanted you to be able to see that I'm hitting the print button, but I guess you can trust me. I'm gonna hit File Print right now, and then I am hitting the actual print button, and I'm going to go ahead and start. So now it's just sending the data to the printer right now. And like I said, if you do wireless, it's going to take more time. So if you're really about your time, you'll make a way to do the wire connection. It's going to save you one of these days. All right, so right now we're at 18 seconds. It's pulling the paper in. It has not actually, we just started printing at 23 seconds. So this is a photo printer. A photo printer usually is going to be a lot more precise when it comes to colors and detail and that sort of thing. I think I have the specs for you all in the Excel sheet or the Google sheet. And I don't really think it does that much more in terms of the pixels that it can print. I really don't think it does at all. And I can find that in order to pull up while we're working right now. But it is printing really slow. But I would expect it to print really slow for a photo printer. I'm going to give you an example. My Epson 16650 that also prints 13 by 19s from the rear paper slide. That one prints this file, and you know what? Let me not lie to y'all. Let me actually really find my Google sheet right now, because this is taking quite some time. And then what I'll do is I will also try this setting without the I put it on best quality, so I'll try plain paper with the good quality instead of best quality, and we'll see how that works out. All right, so right now I'm trying to pull up my Excel sheet. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Hopefully I can show the camera along with it. This is taking a long behind time. Let me show you my data here. Now I'm not going to down it completely because, like I said, this is an EcoTank. It doesn't require all of those expensive cartridges that are required for the 7840 and the 7820. Literally, those cartridges are going to cost you as much as almost setting up any other, like the 7710s and 20s. Each time, that's what it's going to cost you to set up the cartridges. Every single time that it says that the cartridge is empty. It's not an ARC chip. It's not an automatic reset chip. It is a one-time use chip, which is just the same as you throwing that cartridge away and getting a new one every single time. So until that, now I will looking at this, this looks like really superb. Even though we had some issues in the Printhead test, this is actually looking really good. So I'm going to see what it prints like, what it presses like. So y'all see that coming through right now. But I'm trying to find where I put my print speed, like the actual speeds that I clocked the other day when we did this 135 live, while this thing is printing. You see where we are. We're at almost 5 minutes now, 4 minutes, 49 seconds. Oh, y'all, my Epson did this in 18 seconds flat. The 16650. So let me show you my little proof. Like I said, we're gonna do a little verses and we're gonna see what this is really talking about. Because this thing is printing very slowly, but it has extremely high quality, and I can tell. I see no banding. It's taking its time even making those colors. I don't know, it may very well give us those colors that are out of gamut in some of our other printers. We shall see. I would expect to get a greater color gamut with this gray and just having the CMYK. So we shall see. I'm gonna let this finish printing. Okay, it just finished printing. That is 6 minutes. Oh, what is that? 6:29. 6:29. 6 minutes 29 seconds. Let me put that on my sheet here. So 6 minutes. 29 seconds. All right, so just to call out, because I'll just call it out to you rather than show you my Excel sheet. So the EcoTank 15,000 did it in 3 minutes and 48 seconds with the plain paper, right? And then when we put the premium presentation paper matte, it was 4 minutes and 52 seconds. So when you put it on premium presentation matte, it does take longer. Now with the EcoTank 16650, that same image was able to print in 18 seconds. So like I said, if you can afford to, I know the 16650 is twice as much as this 8550, but the speed is phenomenal. And if you're trying to do, a bunch of prints back to back, and you don't want to be sitting there babysitting the printer, that's going to be a game changer for you. So the 16650 did 18 seconds with the plain paper, and then it did 58 with the premium presentation matte. The 7710 did 1:27. Okay, but that's, without it stopping in the middle of print saying it needed some more ink, how the 7710s do. So the premium presentation paper matte is 4 minutes and 58 seconds. The 7820 was able to do this print in 27 seconds with the plain paper setting. And then on the premium presentation paper matte, it took 2 minutes 52 seconds. And for the sawgrass, we also did the sawgrass in that versus, and it was 1 minute to 28 to 1 minute 50 seconds. And the reason why I say that is because it took a lot of time for the print to even reach the printer. It took about 20, almost 30 seconds just for the printer to receive the data, and it's because of their special software. It didn't have a premium presentation matte situation, so basically it took about 1 minute and 50 seconds for that. All right, now this one in comparison took 6 minutes and 29 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to print one more, but this setting I'm going to take off the, I think I told you all I did the best printer settings here. I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm going to go to my print settings. So by default, it's already got the quality as best. I'm just going to put it on high and say OK. Then I'm going to restart my timer, and I'm going to print one on high instead. I'm still letting Photoshop manage my colors. I'm still choosing the Epson Inkjet Printer 07. I don't want to add any other variables other than that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit print, start my timer, and I'm going to have to load a sheet of paper in here. All right, and that's taking up a little bit of time, so I'm going to have to give it a couple seconds back because I did not have my paper in there already. So that's going to take away about probably 8 seconds. I loaded the paper. So we'll remember that when it is time to record the final time. And I just know this is going to print a lot faster. I just know it is. It's even moving faster. Now you see how jerky it is when it pulls the paper in? That's usually when you know it's going to print faster, but that is also how you know it's not going to be as accurate in formulating the colors, because it really is, you know, jerking that paper in and trying to quickly formulate those colors in a way that is not so noticeable, but is exactly not exact. All right, so we're letting that go. It's printing so much faster already. And I can actually see the difference in the level of ink that is placed on the paper too. So we'll see how that affects our final sublimation press. And I do see some banding in here. So they're definitely, I'll probably want to do some more printhead cleanings, but like I told you, I don't like to do more than 2 back to back. I'll probably come back later tonight and do another set of printhead cleanings before I go to bed, just to see if I can get these lines out of here. But I'm going to press it with these lines because it looks like it might be a single color that's really doing that. And a lot of times, even if you see these faint lines, if you press it onto fabric, you won't see the lines. All right, so that was 1 minute 49 seconds. I said I was going to give it 8 back, so let's just say 1 minute 40 seconds. Clear difference in time. So I'm going to put 140. That wasn't premium presentation matte, but it might as well have been for the previous setting. So we're going to put 140 here and see what that does for us. All right, so now let me go ahead and get my fabric. I have fabric cut out for one. I'm going to cut out another fabric for this one just to see if it presses any better. So let me go ahead and do that before I try to move this whole camera over. As a matter of fact, if I unplug, I think I'm going to run into an issue. So let me find an extension cord. Because I have everything wired right now. All right, so extension cord, where are you? I'm going to have to move things for a second. I think we're pretty much done setting up the printer. So now what we're going to do is just test it out. But I'm going to have to unplug. So hopefully, I pray you all stay with me and it doesn't shut down because I'm unplugging right now. Oh. And then I will have to move our little station. Like I said, I got some little lights for y'all, but so far, it's not been the easiest thing to keep up. Come on, little tripod. I think that's it. Let's get down here, see if I can make this work. So I didn't plan on pressing tonight, but I got excited. I wanted to see it happen. So let me see what y'all can see. And I'm bringing prints over just so you can see. Well, let me know if y'all can see, because this thing says it's not doing live right now, so let me know. I'm going to check the comments in just a moment. I'll plug in my laptop if I need to. Oops. All right, so let me refresh and see if we are still live with the camera. All right, so we have absolutely no banding. This one was printed on the highest setting, which is the highest quality. This one was printed on high and printed a lot faster. And I do see, I didn't do my adjustments on here either. So I have some adjustments that I like to turn on for everything just to make my yellows more like a lemony yellow. People actually prefer the sunflower yellow. I like when it's supposed to be yellow. I like that lemon yellow. So I've created like a little bit of an adjustment setting that I do every time that I print something that I want to be precise yellow colors. All right, so we got this fabric here. I'm gonna press the ones that have the lines in it. And like I said, the lines may be due to me not doing more printhead cleanings. So I did two, and it still did not show that all of the, let me grab a pair of scissors. So when I did two printhead cleanings, it was still showing that it needed a little bit more, but I was just being more cautious as far as not wanting to flood things out. So I only did two printhead cleanings. I'll go back later tonight and do a couple more. But I'm usually pretty confident that even with these little lines, I'm still going to get a good enough result to understand if my colors are on point. And I'd rather come back later and do printhead cleanings than to keep doing cleanings. And as some of you know, have experienced, your maintenance box will say it's full if you do too many printhead cleanings. So I'm not using cover paper or anything. I'm doing 45 seconds. I think this is like 389, not quite 400. So we're gonna see how this works out for me. That's usually my basic settings. And I thought y'all could see, but I'm not sure if it's giving a delay or what. And I'm hoping the screen just isn't like frozen on y'all. And I will tell you something else about these photo printers. I had the Artisan 1430 back in the day, and they don't like to print fast. So I don't know if that. Well, I don't see any lines in the print though. I won't lie. It did have lines in the print, but I don't see it in the press. So this is. I'm gonna compare it to my 16650 premium. That won't be the premium. I'm guessing that'll be more like my 16650. Sorry, I have all of these little samples that I did for that class. Premium presentation. Okay, there we go. Plain paper, no adjustment. This is the plain paper, no adjustment. I will say my yellows are definitely more on point. I do see a clear difference in these greens, which is very hard for the regular CMYK printers to get. This one here does look a lot more like the on-screen color. I told you that Cyan was really difficult to get. See how this one shifts to like robin's, but it's supposed to be more like a robin's egg blue, but it shifts more to a green when you don't have those additional colors. So I'm pretty impressed with what it did with the grays too. My grays are like a lot more neutral. It has a little more of a blue tint to the grays with that particular gray, but that's pretty darn good. Now I'm losing some vibrancy in these colors when I print on that fast mode. So I definitely would want to check and make sure that there are no lines, and that I'm also checking which printer profile, because remember it had its own printer profile that said something about it being velvety or whatever. So I'm going to try their printer profile that's suggested as well. So I was going to press this one too, the one that took 6 minutes and 30 seconds to print. Let's press that one. So let me get a little fabric. I kind of want to be lazy and just press it on the back of this one. Can I be lazy and press it on the back? No, because then I'll see my colors through it. Let me go cut some fresh fabric and try not to trip over this light stand. Y'all pray for me. I am a clumsy one. All right, and let me grab this fabric so that I can cut it out the same side. I definitely think that color profile, the Epson IJ07, is off, because I think my skin tones could be a lot more precise. A lot more precise. So, like I said, this will be my opportunity to play with the print settings and give you all my preferred setup for this once I do my little testing. All right, so I'm coming back over. Try not to trip. I made it. All right, so I'll pre-press that fabric just a little bit, get the wrinkles out and any moisture. And I'm going to go ahead and trim this print as well. The reason why I trim it is because I want to use up as little fabric as possible. So this can get real expensive. I know y'all see all these swatches down here. It's a lot of fabric I used up just to test things out. And this doesn't have to go full time. All right, let's do it. Doing the 45 seconds again. Ooh. I took my trash to the other section now. All right, so let's see. Yellows, I still see the variations in the yellows. I see the variation in the green, which is really hard to get those variations or to see them. This should really be like a lime green, but like I said, that's not going to show up. This one actually shows up darker than the previous one. So I think for the time that it took, my red is a lot richer. If you can see that red being a lot more richer. The peaks here are a little, they're just darker. They're not really more exact. As a matter of fact, the one that took the less time to print is a lot more exact when it comes to the level of blues and the cyan there. And just looking at, yeah, I think the one that printed faster really turned out better to me. Look how much better that that lime green came out. And that cyan, which like I said is a very tough color to get. So I am inclined to say that the faster one actually printed better. Now for photos, I need to make sure that the profile is good for the photos. So I was gonna try that real quick if it'll print quick, if I do the quick mode printing. And I'm gonna change the printer profile to the one that they had. Not the velvet fine art. I don't want it to do that. I'm gonna tell it, I'll tell it the L8180 series matte. Let's try that. And let me load up a sheet of paper. It should take about, like last time, 1:40, something like that. But I can't tell which is going to print back right now. There we go. I took my light out of here. Oh, I can turn that on there. Might be able to see. All right. And this, y'all, for real, this is going to be the last one I try tonight because I think I've had y'all on live for over 2 hours now. Oh no, it's frozen for real? I thought it was frozen. Hold on a second. Y'all, I'm just sitting here talking and whatnot. Let's see. See if I can get y'all unfrozen. That's what it was. All right, we should be live now. Let me know if you see the camera. All right. Man, okay. So let me show you the colors. I said I'm going to play with the different profiles too. This one was the one that printed, that took 6 minutes plus, almost 7 minutes to print. This is the one that took less than 2 minutes to print. And honestly, I would say that this one gives me better variation for that brighter lime green. Remember, this is supposed to be that lime green that a lot of the other printers have trouble getting it because they only have 4 colors and it can't quite reach that green. This one still can't reach that green, but it is much more, it's much closer to the lime green than some of the other printers are going to get without faking it. And by faking it, when I was telling you, you can play with your yellow adjustments and get more lime greens and to make it look like it's more neon colors, but it's obviously not. You're just kind of faking the color mix there. I think everything else that is worth it for the time that it took to print, nothing here seems like it's worth it to me to have taken that long. Nothing. Not the browns, not even the blacks, not the grays. The grays actually look really good on the faster print. And then I am going to do one more that just finished printing out. And this is still doing the bandage. So y'all, I'm gonna have to definitely do this again after doing some Printhead cleaning. So I'm probably doing or do 2 more right now, just because it's been over an hour now since I did my last Printhead cleaner. Just trim this. All right, let me play with this real quick. And then I'll do, my job tonight is going to be playing with all of the settings and seeing which one I can recommend to you all for this. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to see what setting works best for the photos though. All right, let's let that go. Let me see if y'all have. So I'm just talking about the colors and stuff and y'all didn't see them at all. Alright, I'm just checking to see if this, ow! God. Oh yeah, this printer profile setting is way different. This was one of the ones that came with the 8550. Way different, but let me see. I'm seeing the most difference here. Let me pull it up on my screen. That'll be the easiest way to test it. Oh yeah, I will not use that Epson profile at all. Color shifted reds to orange. It did. It still tried to give me a little difference here, but it's not nearly as bold. So, and although my reds on the screen are a little more orange, I like my reds deeper, and I think this gave me the deeper reds that I usually like to see. So I'm going to play with this. I think this definitely wants to be on a different color setting to achieve those reds and possibly even closer on the bright green. And the blues are blue, they aren't purple. The reds are not orange unless you use the color profile for the 8550. That red is orange. I cannot stand an orange red, y'all. It drives me crazy to see an orange like have that much red in it. But let me see what's going on here with the pinks. It is a little more exact for this pink, a little more dull and darker for this pink. So I'm going to find which of the profiles work out better, because I am a stickler for color, and I want to make sure that we got that all the way right. And then I need to do my little Printhead cleans and stuff too. All right, so yeah, Teresa, it should be able to work for your Mac. You know, your Macs have different settings as well, so we'll probably test it out with you for the Mac, and of course, I'll do some testing of the color settings before I make any final suggestions for that. All right, so I'm just checking to see if y'all have any other questions. So officially, we have the gray. We'll go ahead and put it online and everything. But before I put it online, I'm going to make my suggestions so that I can have a quick video to show you the print suggestions for those for that particular setup. And then we'll see if we can duplicate that on the Macs, because I think they have very subtle differences in how you set them up. And Teresa, I probably will need your help with that. So make sure you stay in contact with Erica so you can ask Erica if I can do yours with you. And that way we can go ahead and set up together, because I don't have a Mac and I don't, want to not have those instructions for those of you who need that. And then I can add it to the 135 class. So now we have a new printer that we can add to that. All right. Let me see if I can be on camera for a second. I don't know what this camera is looking at. Hopefully it's looking at me and it's still live. I don't know if I'm gonna pop up anytime soon. I don't want to scare myself. Now this delay is crazy. I swear I like turned this camera around to me like 20 seconds ago. All right. I'm just giving it a second. It's still showing something else. And I don't know if it's me, if I'm supposed to change something or what. That is one heck of a delay. All right, so I just wanted to tell you all that I am completely grateful for all of your support over this time and that we have officially made it to 1 year for the Academy. So I want to really stress to you all how much I appreciate you for that, because this was something that was an experiment and you all have turned it into um, a brand. You've turned it into a lifestyle. You have turned it into something that that can even be a legacy for me and for you all as well. So I want to say thank you. We're going to do something very, very special to commemorate that. I hope y'all can actually see me because I don't know what's going on with this camera right now. It's a little kind of a weird setup because I can't see myself. But like I said, I want to tell you all thank you. And the way that I'm going to tell you thank you is be looking out for, there will be a special where it has all of the year 1 Academy courses included in this bundle. And if you are an Academy member, you wanted to access some of your stuff early, it will be a fee that you can pay one time and unlock everything at once. And then of course you'll still continually unlock the new stuff. But it's just like my way of saying thank you. Here, have it all. I want y'all to have all these tools. We're going to start fresh. We're on year 2 now, as of July 18th, I believe. So please be looking out for that. We're doing more of the physical workshops, or we're doing physical workshops now. So we're going to see how well that works out. We want to do them locally in Jacksonville, and then we'll also be doing some traveling ones as well. So make sure that you go to the Innate Creatives Facebook page and make a request for your city or somewhere that you don't mind traveling to in order to do one of the major cities stops on the tour, because that's going to be my, my payback to you all for supporting me so much. I'm going to make sure that we utilize our resources to give you some hands-on training, to show up in your areas, to invite you to our area so that you can really, truly get that hands-on experience that I know we've been really wanting since COVID even began. So I'm excited. I really, really, really cannot wait to spend time with you all. We're going to make sure that we take the proper precautions. So everybody's going to be wearing a mask um, and spaced out and that sort of thing. And we'll make sure that we don't overbook for the sessions. But we have one coming up July 10th and the 11th. So on the 10th, we're doing the session where we show you how to all over split, print, and press with a 16 by 20 press. And then we're going to do some socks. I'm going to show you the taco method. We're going to all do the taco method together. And then we are also doing a license plate, so a hard substrate, so you kind of understand the difference between a hard substrate and a soft substrate. We will be doing on day 2, which is a totally separate session. You all said that you wanted to get into cut and sew. So Karita and I have teamed up, and you'll see that Q is really excited to show you all how to create a bathing suit from scratch. So you're going to make a small mock-up. It will be about the 3T or 4T size, but it will be a full bathing suit that you will sew. You'll sublimate the fabric, cut the fabric, assemble the pattern pieces together, and then you'll sew and end up with a final product by the end of that class. And that's all day Sunday. So Saturday, we're doing all the good sublimation stuff. We're showing you Photoshop, all of that stuff. And then on Sunday, it's exclusively doing the bathing suit from start to finish, okay? So I'm going to give it a little time to see if y'all have any questions for me. And let's see. The last thing I see is that y'all can see or hear me. So I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds just to make sure the delay gives y'all time to ask any questions. But other than that, that's all I was going to speak on tonight. I know y'all spent a good deal of time with me already tonight, and I really do appreciate it. I will have, like I said, a versus video prepared for you all. I'm not Swiss Beats, but I'm going to make sure that I bring the entertaining value to you for doing the versus session. So all of the printers that I have, all of the desktop printers, I'm going to set them up to basically print the same exact file like we did with the 135, and then go ahead and take the data for the time that it took. Go ahead and give my best understanding of how I feel it did with the color interpretation and all of that good stuff, as well as the proper settings for each of those setups. So regardless of what printer you have, if you're using True Colors ink, I'm going to tell you my best settings that I would go with, even if it did cost, like for instance, if it costs a little more time, like a little more time and I can get more accurate colors, then I could potentially use the premium presentation paper mat. But more than likely, I will not use that setting. It uses up too much ink, it takes up too much time, and then on top of that, it usually will cause issues over time because it's overusing the ink for what it's really worth. So the Facebook group name is Innate Creatives, Bobby Blues. And if E is here, then she'll probably copy and paste that link for you. All right, so I'm working on something else. I kind of have to do it in silence until it's really done and I can speak about it to you all. But just know that your girl is working. Your girl is working for you, for us. And I hope that this next phase of what we're working on together is going to really take off for all of us. So I'll give you more information when we get to that mode. But just know that this is just the beginning. We're just getting started. We are building our design repertoire. We're building our business understanding. We're building our branding. We are building the way that we think about our business as a career path and not as a hobby or a side hustle. Like all of these things that we're building on are taking us to this next level of being the CEO bosses that can really make changes not only for ourselves and our families, but for our communities, and to really have a collective value. That's what I'm seeking. Like us as a team, we are a network, we are stronger together, and I just see so many places that we can take this to. So I'm not gonna bore y'all to death with everything that I have in my head at this moment, but I will definitely keep you informed on these little steps as we go. Okay? All right, my love. So I don't see any more questions. And if they happen to come in after we end the stream because of the delay, my apologies. I didn't do it on purpose. But definitely post your questions in the Innate Creatives Facebook group. Even if you have tech issues, that sort of thing, post in the Innate Creatives Facebook group. And I will catch you all later. Listen, I appreciate you. I love you all dearly. And until next time, you know what it is. Bye. And now it's going to be awkward because I have to end the call.